Good morning. Good morning. Hello, Amber. Good morning. Yeah. Well, hey, Karen. Good morning. Yeah. It's been a while, so let me see if I remember this correctly. Good morning. Welcome to Mid Morning Medium Chat with Adam the Black Swamp Medium. Thank you so much for being here on this Saturday morning. Like I just said, it has really been a while. I actually did write it down because I was curious myself, but the last one I did was all the way back in March, the end of March. March 30th was the last show that I did live, and it's been quiet. Well, not well, it's been quiet because there hasn't been that many shows, but since, but yeah, it's been a it's been a journey. So hey, Tom, good morning. Yeah, it's woo, I've done the best I could with posting what I could about, you know, things that have been going on, and why things have slowed down, and a lot of it's just it's just life situations, and it's been one thing after another. That's one thing I did put, a lot of the post on, often, was that it was constantly doing this, that, and the other. And you're right, Amber. It really was. I mean, some of it I'm gonna touch on. I'm gonna I didn't really write anything down to remember to highlight. So if it hits me, I'll just gonna talk um, out of chronological order and things. But yeah, no, it's certainly been a year. Interesting enough, at least the last couple days, uh, I've had a even though things are still stressful and tough, I've had uh, at least a resurgence inside me, feeling a little bit more like, this is cool. Like, I each week it was always like, can I do a show? Sometimes it was really easy to make that decision, and then other times it was like, it would be a couple days prior that I just like, nope, I'm not going to be able to do it. There's just not enough time, or I've got too many other things going on, or I'm battling um different issues and situations. So, but despite everything this week, it was a nice kind of a refresher of feeling excited. And when I posted, it was a Thursday, I think it was. It's been like every 2 or 3 days I've been posting, but yeah, when I posted Wednesday or Thursday, I was just like, I'm kind of feeling it. And I was wondering, who else would be willing to stop by, since it's been so long. And that's the one thing that stinks is, you get on a roll, you're having so much fun, and then a bunch of things happen and it pulls you away, and then you basically at a point where, like this, I have to start all over again. And I get it, kind of how it goes. You build up this momentum, and you're having so much fun with everybody, and then you go away. A lot of people forget who you are, so I get it. But it's not the first time this has happened. So I mean, last year, at least, when I went down last year, I mean, we went, I got into May, I think it was, and then you didn't see another show until end of August, I think it was. So I mean, we went months last year. So we were getting there this time. It was just earlier. It wasn't a dead summer for me, basically, but I was dealing with a lot, which I've talked about. Uh, but yeah, so it's nice to be back. It's good to be here. It's still, like I said, still kind of dealing with a lot of different things. And like I said, it's just life. I mean, it's not like there's secrets to any of it. I mean, there's stress with work. I mean, anybody that's new, I got promoted at the end of last year, so I'm a manager. And so, there's, learning curves, to that, because, I've done supervisor style work before. Now it's manager. So it's just a lot more responsibilities. And then, it was, just, one of those things. There's a lot of that. There's things that I don't know, and you're still learning. So it's just stress with that, and there's days where it's pretty routine. I'm getting in there, hey, Michelle, good morning. And so, there's times where it feels pretty good. You've got enough experience under your belt, and then something turns the corner and then you got a new situation to deal with. So, it is what it is, and that's, there's not much I can say, work is work. And, I don't hate it, so I mean, yeah, you get frustrated, but I mean, who hasn't been frustrated at their jobs, certain situations that they're dealing with. So, but yeah, work's definitely been, um, an added, element to this year. I mean, previous years, I was, still just doing tech level things, and I wasn't, nearly as stressed. But I know the big thing is that they're making people come back to work, at least 3 days a week. So our Tuesday through Thursday are the worst days of the week. And it's funny is like, we appreciate when they give us a call ahead of time to help them out, but then they're always calling last minute. So like, it's funny, you could look at our schedule and be like, well, that doesn't look like you really are doing much today. And then by the end of the day, you look at it going, what happened? That's normal. So, uh, but then again, audiovisual equipment, when it goes down, it goes down. And, sad part is a lot of it is now technically old and ancient, because of the fact that we lost a couple years, almost 2 full years of using the equipment. I don't think I need to explain what couple years that was. I think we all remember. But yeah, I mean, that stinks too, because when the equipment breaks down, it's not under warranty anymore. So now we don't get free repairs. And, we're starting to see that now. We're starting to see a lot of equipment breaking down, and some of the cost is like you can't get the parts anymore. So it's really just a dead room in a way, not fully dead, but, and then, or the parts are like astronomical, insanely expensive. So, it's an interesting time, so yeah, Amber, try not to forget that. I would agree. Yeah. I mean, I sometimes you remember it, for the positive things you could get out of it. Yes, I know there was a lot of negative to it too, but, you try to find the good in rough situations, just like me. That's, that's one of the things especially this year and even last year, but it was just learning to, you have your rough day. Like I've always talked about, for those that have followed for a while, you get your one rough day, if all H breaks loose, and you're, you know, take that time, curl up in a ball, whatever it is. But then the next morning you got to stand up. And, I've had to do that a lot this year, way more than I've ever thought I would, but it's, whew, I mean, and even then, let me go back. I mean, obviously, like I said, some of this, I've mentioned in post and things, but again, I guess it's sometimes it's nice to hear it, versus just always reading it. But let me get a sip of coffee first. But for 4 weeks, there was 4 weeks that the show couldn't happen a few months ago, because of the fact that the basement where I have my show and desk and stuff in, decided to flood, and it flooded 3 times in 4 weeks. And, it was, basically a week or so to finally get everything dry. And then we'd do it again. And, that was frustrating to no end. And, that obviously, because like where I sit, I would have been, my feet, would have been in water, granted, I will say it was never crazy deep. But enough to where you could see it. And, I don't think I never posted any pictures. I mean, I showed a couple people privately, just some of it, uh, cause like back over my left shoulder over here, right, right where this corner is here, there's a wall right there. And right there is the stairs that lead up. So right here is the stairs that go up to the main floor. And that was a horrible area, because right at the bottom there, yeah, in the cloud, exactly, Amber. Yes, it was right. See, I can't even. I'm terrible. See, the problem is when this isn't like your cell phone where it'll correct it right away. I have to go differently, so I have to point when I'm looking at myself, it's so weird, but yeah, over here in the cloud. um, but yeah, so there was the water. This was the one of the worst. This was the worst spot in the finished area of my basement, and so there was water always there. I was constantly, you know, sucking up that water there because it was just pooling there constantly. No matter how much I would dry it up, it would just come right back. Um, and then everything else this way, because then this leads to the more open area, and then basically behind the camera a little bit over here, right where that cloud is, the opening to the laundry room is. So that was another area that was then, once I could get the carpet, the puddling cleaned up, sucked up but not dry, then in there behind the camera, it was the laundry room, and that was then the next one that was just a pain. But was interesting was, luckily it never was crazy deep, but it was seeping through cracks in the flooring, because it happens in basements. This house has been around a while, and so you could just see the water coming up out of the cracks at different places around the basement. But you can't really see it in the finished area because the carpet was covering it up. But in the finished one, you could just see the water slowly seeping up, and it was weird because it would only go so far, and it was like a whole water table line thing, because then like I could vacuum all that water up, and then you'd watch it fill up, and then it would get to the same point again and then just stop. So it was a weird thing. So it was good in a lot of ways, but still a pain. And we would, it'd always be at least 24 hours still of water seeping in. And it was, I had to wait until outdoors when everything would dry up, because it was so much rain compared to the last few years that, my backyard floods. Luckily most of the water is near the fence line, so it's not right up here against the house. However, after the third, we were talking about it during the second flood, but then the third time we were kind of convinced, like, this is really crazy. Like, it's not like it's raining down the walls at all. I mean, and I have to have foundation work still done, but we've been dealing with all this stuff. And then there's some other stuff I'm going to talk about here that ruined a whole nother month for me. But so I knew it wasn't the walls that were failing yet, but it was just for whatever. So finally we just kept saying, we've been in this house since 2009. We have no idea how old the sump pump was. And sure, it was a topic of conversation before, but we, the pump didn't run that much, and you almost never heard it when it did run. I mean, yes, it would, but it wouldn't, get crazy loud. And even with it being an older pump, but it just didn't pump all the time. So it was like, okay, cool. So we were used to it just barely hearing it. And so finally, like, we finally decided that, like, let's just do it. Let's just replace it. That'll be easy. It's probably time regardless. Because I mean, we've been in there here since 2009. Here it is 24. So, even just on that aspect, that's an old pump. So, so we had to order one. So that took a week, because I was, doing some recommendations, and I was trying to get like something that's decent. I didn't want something cheap, of course, because I don't want to have to deal with it again, because of the fact, and I'll read your statement in a second, Amber. Where our sub pump is, so it's in the laundry room, way back that way. And yeah, down here. Yeah, way down here. When we moved in, they do the house inspection and everything. And then, one thing, because of where I live, there's radon. It's an invisible gas, and, it can really mess with your health if you're exposed to it too much. So apparently we had some, higher levels when we did the testing. And then, because of the getting the house, the previous owners would pay for the radon system. So the easiest way they do that is they cap the sub pump up. So they put a lid over it, and then they put a huge 4-inch PVC pipe down in the center of it. And what that does is that pulls the air out of the sub pump area, because apparently when you have sub pump systems, the radon technically finds its way to that area and then disperses into the basement. So you cap it, seal it, and then the vacuum sucks it out towards the top of the house. So, but this is all sealed and even screwed down a little bit. So it's like, this isn't something I can just lift the lid real easily to find out if it's working or not, So once we finally got the pump, then we cracked everything, we opened it up, and it definitely didn't look, the old one definitely looked pretty bad. So we ended up, I didn't even, it was one thing I kicked myself. I should have tried it just to see, like pushing the bobber that activates it. I should have tried that, but I didn't. But I mean, I unplugged the pump a few times, but I just got rid of it. I got it out of there, and we put the new one in there, and sure enough, we filled it up, it ran. So we yes, so that's good news. And then I don't remember if it was like a few days later or close to a week later, it rained again, rained pretty good. And, it definitely pulled water out because we didn't flood again. However, one interesting thing was, sub pumps pull the water out there, it collects it all around the house. It goes down in there. Once it fills up, it pushes it out to the main drain, right? Go figure. The pipe that leads out of the house to, take the water out of the sub pump. I have a small little pinhole leak. So when the water goes up and out, a little bit comes back and it starts seeping through. So I've got to clean up the area still. And then seal the whole pipe that leads out of the house from the pumps. I'm like, it's just one leak after another I got to deal with. So, but luckily it's a trickle, so it's not horrible. And even when it does, it's just going to, go right back into the pump. So it's not that bad of a thing, but yeah, I believe it, Dad. Hey, Sophie, good morning. Thank you so much. That's what I'm doing. I'm kind of going over a little bit of what's happened so far this year. And Amber said the rain this year has been wild. My garden, of course, loved it. Me not so much. Well, yeah, and it was, that basement stuff that destroyed, the basement stuff was definitely, that was a good month. It was a month that it was flooding. Hey, Jason, good morning. Good to see you too, sir. Well, I see, you and Amber and, the other lunkers are, posting away. So, I love seeing that, man. You guys are all good, inspirations for what you're doing and taking care of yourself. So, I'll drink. This is coffee, but skål. But yeah, so the water situation, the flooding, that's been a huge thing. And so we still got more basement stuff to deal with, and we still got to get the walls fixed and things. So hey, Lisa, good morning. Sounds like my basement. I live at the bottom of the hill. Unfortunately, all the water comes right to me. After many attempts, I finally got up there. Hey, at least you got it fixed. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I have to still get the walls fixed in the laundry room, which is behind the camera. That's still a must. But so like this ruined it. I'm gonna jump to what's happened over the last technically it would be 4 weeks now. But yeah, it really had. That is the thing that I've said a few times in my posts for those that watch, see them or catch them if you do. Yeah, it has definitely been one thing after another. And it's not like, I'm inviting any of this stuff in. Trust me. No. I am not all into this, constantly being, beat down. And it's like, you get to the point where you're so immersed in it that you can't think straight. And it's, it's crazy because it's like, you kind of lose your senses, you lose what's going on. You forget things in the sense of like, I've always said I've been stubborn about asking for help. Still am, and, and half the time too, it was, it's just, you just don't think about it. You roll with it and you deal with it and you don't think to ask. And, I was talking to somebody the other day about this. And like I said, I'm jumping around on purpose, but, I was talking to somebody a couple days ago and I said, it's interesting that, when you finally have moments where, like I said, the last couple days I just spit big time. When I've, despite the last, still being stressed, this week, I've had an energy boost again. And so like I feel it. I mean, maybe hopefully it looks like I feel like I'm alive, and it's not like I'm acting it out either. I truly do have a energized vibe to me right now. And this morning, I mean, you know, I'm a morning person anyway, but I was, the family's up, and, I'm sitting there just joking around like it was no big deal. And it's like, I was really just pumped up, and I wasn't trying to think of like a show. I wasn't trying to think of anything else. I was just trying to be in that moment of just being who I typically am. I mean, I want to have fun. I want to show some energy. And, which is why sometimes, it's like, I'm going to look terrible if I try to do a show. And I just don't want to, I don't want my energy to spill onto anybody else. And I don't want to drag anybody else down. Cause like, I still want to help people, even though I need help right now. but, but that's the thing, is I don't want my energy to bring anybody else down, and I think that's why, if you guys, I say a lot, if you're watching my post and you see all the sky pictures that I do, there's a lot of ways you can look at those. And I'm going to repeat myself for those that have heard it before, but, we're so used to doing that. We look down, we're looking at our phones, and we forget to look up. So when I post all those sky pictures, it's to try to push you to put those things down for a moment and look up, because you never know what you're going to see. You never know what kind of beauty you're missing out on. And I'm grateful that I can still capture those and then share them with everybody, to get you all to just stop for a moment and look up. And regardless of all the things I've been going through and still going through, and what you all might be going through, there's always a moment where you can stop. And it's okay to stop and just go to the window. If you don't want to go outside, but go to the window. I've done that. I've gone to the windows on some of the photos, pulled the windows down, and stuck my phone out the window to take the picture. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot of rocket science, to get yourself, as close to nature, to feel it, and just to see it. You know what I mean? Because it really, we're so, and we all have responsibilities. We got to pay bills. We got to do, yeah, you know what I mean? And so it's not taking away from what we have to do, because we have to, but we are allowed to stop for a moment, and I've had to do that so many times, this year. But I would stop. I would take those photos, or sometimes if I couldn't take them, I would just stare, and that works just as well, and it's amazing how, if you truly immerse yourself into it, you open yourself up to it, and not just be like, oh, it's a sky, whatever. There's some colors in it. There's some clouds. You're not even like started to like appreciate it. You have to remember where our ancestors came from. They did nothing but stare at nature. They had no other choice. Yeah, at night you can get inside a little shelter of some sort, and get some sleep, but the next day you're outside again. You're looking at all this stuff, because that's a place of peace. You can make it peaceful. Sophie says, totally makes sense. It's been a rough last 4 to 5 months for us, and I haven't been able to provide Reiki for anyone. Not fair to others if my energy is off and empty, but better days are ahead. Yeah, Sophie, it kills me still to I haven't done full readings. I've done quick, like, couple messages. I've done a couple healings. I did do one attachment removal, and this is I'm going to say probably since last July, even when the summer was horrible last year. So yeah, I mean, we're getting close to a full year where I haven't technically opened up the doors again. It does kill me. It does kill me to not be able to do that, and and it's terrible to feel that way. And I realized that, you end up putting pressure on yourself. You start beating yourself down, and then that puts you into a funk or a depressive state of mind. And then that's no good either. And so I've had to battle that, is just to understand that, there's nothing. I have to ride the course out. I have to keep doing my thing, keep, wanting to push forward. And it's going to break free. It truly will, and it's not going to be this way forever. I'm not going to let it stay this way forever. But, you know, we've said it before. There's a lot of us that have said this, and a lot of you have know this, that, you, everything is a roller coaster. There's ups and downs and twists and turns, and there's obstacles on your path, and it's all there by design. Nothing is going to be a picture perfect life. There's always going to be something you're going to have to deal with or learn how to deal with. So that way, when you happens to you again in the future, you're ready for it a little bit, and that's okay. But jumping around again, but one of the points I was going to be making is that when I was talking to a friend a couple of days ago, I realized that, and Sophie, this might, match up with you too, is, we've done so much for others for so long, and we provide. I mean, and I'm talking anybody that does, holistic and metaphysical, practices. We do so much, and, we all try to take the time to catch a break or take a day off or whatever, but I don't think it's ever been enough. And I start to think that a lot of the stuff that I've been dealing with this year alone is just that it really is about just, shutting down, or in some aspects staying shut down, because it's truly, there is so much needed repair on the backside of things, from a mental state, that, forcing yourself to try to do other things, it's just going to prolong you being 100%, in the near future. And that's what I've been coming to terms this week is I've done a whole lot, and it's not an ego thing either, because we enjoy helping others. It is beyond the passion of, and love of what we want to do. It has nothing to do with us personally. It's the fact that when we can see somebody else smiling, or bring them some comfort, or bring them some healing, in any form, even if it's just to be an open ear, there's no amount of money in the world that can replace. And so it's just going to be one of those things that, if you lose people, and I'll be honest, I've seen a lot of people leave the page, and I have to, and I'm not upset. I mean, it's easy to get upset. It's not a numbers game for me, but you realize then, granted, you don't know the reason. So right there, that's an automatic, like, you just can't worry about that just because you see your count, falling. But that's not the point. The thing is then there's probably a good reason for it. Maybe it wasn't meant for them to stick around anyway, which is true. You're going to have people going in and out of your life all the time, especially some of the spiritual stuff that I've been exposed to enough that, yeah, you see people for a little bit, you get to hang out with them, and then they drop off the face of the earth. It's crazy. So yeah, I this week, it was truly like one of those aha moments that was like, yeah, that makes a lot more sense considering how many years I've been doing things and how I've been pushing so hard to get to where I was, and now it's just like, you did so much work, you worked so hard to get to achieve some goals that now you got to learn how to adjust to it, which means you're going to have to take care of yourself before you can get back to it. And so it's one of those things that's like, it's frustrating in some regard, because it's like, yeah, you're really, you're helping people and you're doing these things and you're going here and you're attending events. And then it's just like, it was like, what happened? It's all gotta, get pulled away from me, Um, I know my dad's joking around, leave my mental condition of the conversation. Amber saying rest and recovery is just important as being active. That's why even bodybuilders take rest. You got that right. My dad says people got lost. Did you send out a search? Exactly. Yeah. And like I said, it's hard too for a lot of people that don't. I mean, everybody's gone through moments and situations in their life, and then for like people like me and Sophie and stuff that and there's some others that are probably in and out with today's show, but you know yeah when you're doing these type of services for people and it man I mean it doesn't necessarily take a toll on you. it I'm trying to think of the best words for it, but I'll have to think about it. Yeah, I said I'm used to just running free here. So, but Michelle says I think we are all trained by our society that we have to work so hard. I think we really need to find out the natural flow that will naturally take us to where we are supposed to be. Right, and there will be right. There's always going to be that moment where uh, the path is super clear. It's opens up and it's just like a straight. You literally can look right down that road or that pathway and just see, and it's just like there's nothing there blocking it. And but that's the whole thing is dealing with what you have to deal with and all these things that keep happening to us. It's just like crazy. Sophie says, so happy I checked in today. Grateful for your smiling face and words. Have to go. Have a great weekend, Sophie. You take care and get some rest. Enjoy. Get outside a little bit. You know what I mean? Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I mean, and like I said, things have been so wild, and here's another, basically 4 weeks. So, deal with the flooding and stuff like that. And then 4 weeks, I had family sick here. It's just unbelievable. I couldn't find the path, but I did find the trail. My dad said, well, it is there, the trail might not, and that's the thing is paths and trails and stuff doesn't necessarily have to be like as much as like a street, a city street. Literally, they could just be like a game trail where you can barely make it out. So that's not uncommon to even look at it that way. Sometimes the trails aren't as wide open and things. Hey, Diana, good morning. But yeah, no, I mean, it was weird because back in April, we again, making the best out of things, doing doing what we got to do day in and day out. My daughter, was working on the sound crew for a high school musical called Little Shop of Horrors. Most of you probably heard of it. Some of us that are been around a while. I was game for the trail, right, Dad? But so they were doing Little Shop, which was interesting because if you really remember the show, or the musical or that was in movie form too. The beginning is where, when the Audrey plant, comes around, it's, the solar eclipse, which was unique. And I think that's why they did it. So some people, were seeing, when we were in the audience listening to this, it was so funny because we knew it, but because, I actually, I in high school, showing my age, in high school, I was I was the biggest Audrey plant back in high school. And so this, I really knew this play well. But it was interesting because when they talked about the solar eclipse in the beginning of the show, that's true because that's always been in there. Hey, Sharon. And it was fun when the people said that you could hear people going, and I'm like, really? There you go, Amber. Suddenly Seymour was standing beside. I know that's a good song. It's a good song. It's a good song. But yeah, I mean, and so when the show got over with, which was really great, they did a fantastic job. It was really cool. When I think it was, so that was, we went to the last show on a Sunday. Monday morning, my daughter started complaining of not feeling well, and apparently she wasn't the only one. A lot of cast and crew were experiencing different types of symptoms. And so my daughter still went to school because she was hanging in there. and then woke up Tuesday morning, major sore throat, and I think she had a little bit of a fever, not crazy, but had a little bit of a fever. So, you're not supposed to, go. So I think, I think we let her rest that day. And then Wednesday, it just seemed like it was getting a little bit worse. So took her in, confirmed strep throat. So it was like, so she stayed home for a few days, went back the last couple of days because she, was on antibiotics and things. And, was starting to feel better with the antibiotics and things. So that was helping. Then that Friday, so basically my daughter's been sick, for, 5-6 days, 5 days or so at this point. My son wakes up Friday morning with like a 101, 102, and just looked terrible. And basically at that point, was my son's, got autism and stuff. So he's more on the nonverbal. So he can't always express things easily. And so you can say, well, does something hurt? Does this hurt? And sometimes he'll just say yes anyway, and not realizing that that's not the right answer. So you have to work with him to try to get the answers. So we just assumed because of his sister being, with strep, and obviously, it's contagious for, several days, that, he just automatically got it somehow, even though they don't, they never touch each other. They don't even really walk past each other. We just assumed it was something in the air, and he had the test and it came back negative. So I was like, okay, but so Saturday, he still got a fever all day long. Sunday fever. He had a fever all the way up until the following Friday. Now, granted, we're talking 99 to 100. The worst it ever got, there was like one day where it was like 104 for a few hours. But 100 was probably that average, so it was just enough. And you could see it in his face that he didn't look good. And so, the doctors even couldn't figure out what he had. They put him on antibiotics, but it didn't really seem to do anything. It didn't change anything. And, he was down. And so he finally went to school on the following Friday, got to about 3/4 of the day. And basically because, he wasn't eating great, so he didn't have a whole lot of energy, he, was just wiped out. So he came home early, couple hours early, and then, let him rest for the weekend. And then that was enough to he had more of an appetite finally. But that's that weekend. But let me back up a day. That Thursday night, the where we were hoping he was going to go in Friday, that Thursday night, the wife's not feeling well. She's starting to feel tired. I'm like, okay, here we go. So ironically, then, my son goes to school because he's feeling better. He's 98 degrees. My wife's feeling terrible. So here it is. We're about to start another week of somebody being sick. And sure enough, I get home from work, and she worked just a little bit longer. And then finally because she worked from home. She's been working from home since like 2012 or something like that. But she literally went to bed, and I ended up having to take care of the kids all weekend because she was so tired that her first symptoms were extra tired and some chills, but that's it. No fever, no nothing else. Just those were it. Over the whole weekend, she factored in, she was only awake about 5 hours. I mean, oh, look at that. My numbers, people. I'm gonna put that in the chat. I just saw 1010. So all weekend she was basically sleeping the whole time. And then by Sunday she started having a runny nose, and still tired, but she's finally not like sleeping so much. And it just kept continuing. And I think it was Tuesday. Yeah, so this was not last week, but the week before. So Tuesday, she wakes up and she's taking the kids to school. And yeah, right, Dad. um, she realizes when she's dropping off the kids that she's drinking some coffee, which sounds like a good idea right now. She's drinking her coffee and realizes she can't taste it. So yeah, yeah. So everybody I'm sure that's watching right now is like, okay. So she's not tasting. Well, we only know one thing out there that we're pretty confident, that this probably what we think it is. So she texts me that because I'm at work, and I'm like, oh God, I'm like, you better take a test, you better take a test. And I had to fight her for it. I'm going to be honest. I had to fight her for it because she's like, well, if I have it, I have it. And I'm like, yeah, but we should confirm it. Just, we have a ton of kits. Let's use one, But she's all right. So it was a couple hours later and she came back, it's saying negative. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding. So I was like, okay, fine. We'll let that go for a little bit, just try to really keep my distance. You know what I mean? Because I'm figuring the kids have got some, they've both been through things, so we're thinking, maybe, they'll be immune to her. So then there's just me left. I get home and then she tells me that she can't smell everything so clearly. So like, I'm like, oh geez, oh Pete. And we know those were two symptoms, a part of the other thing. I'm like, oh man. And so like I grab a candle that's really potent. And so I'm sniffing it. It's a coffee flavored candle, by the way. So it smells wonderful. And so I said, well, smell this. And she actually could smell it. So it was like light aromas weren't as profound, but on something that's overwhelming, she still had it. So it was like, cool. So that was Wednesday was basically about the same. Thursday, all the smell was back. And then almost all of her taste was back. Go figure, right? So and she did another test and it came back negative again. I think she took one Wednesday or Thursday, and it came back negative. So it's like, and then you're going, what in the world is going on? So you gotta remember, this is week 3 of stuff. And now that we were going into Thursday, I'm now freaking out because I'm like, well, the last couple weeks, 2 of the family members have gotten sick on Fridays. So it's Thursday. This is last week or the week before, excuse me. And I'm now freaking out because I'm like, obviously I'm in the batter's box. So now I'm what's going to happen now? I've done the best I could, and try not to touch things. I'm always washing my hands. So I was doing the best I could. And, you can only do so much. And so finally, like Friday morning, I'm like, okay, hanging in there, still doing okay. And then finally, I go to work, I do my thing, and I come home and I'm still okay. And I'm like, this is okay. Did we break the cycle? Like, what's happening? And even then, over the years, and this is way before, 2020, there was many times where all 3 family members would get sick or relatively be sick at the same time, one right after another, but it was like, not this weird weekly thing. But everybody would get sick. And then there was so many years that I would not get sick during it or after they've all have dealt with something, and then we're talking common colds and things, nothing. And I'm like, what am I doing? There's theories behind it. There's lots of theories for that I've come up with. And even this one, there was lots of theories behind it. So, I'm grateful that, knock on wood and things, but I'm grateful that nothing seriously came down with me. However, a week ago, And this scared me because like Friday I was like, this is great. But last Saturday, about 5:30 in the morning, I woke up out of my sleep with a migraine. Now, I can't remember the last time I had a migraine headache. It's been years, and it might even been before 2020, but I just can't remember. I mean, it's so rare to have a migraine. I mean, I get headaches here and there, but nothing as painful to where even light. So I have all these lights on. This would have been misery for me right now. So last Saturday, I mean, I'm trying to keep my eyes shut. I'm trying to keep things dark because it just was was killing me. And my head just, I mean, whew, I mean, if you've ever had a serious headache, especially a migraine, where, anything and everything, uh, just is brutal because it's, headaches, you can still relatively function. It's not wonderful to deal with, but I'm also a little stubborn when it comes to, taking something for it right away. Cause I'm like, oh, it's just going to be a little bit, it's going to be short lived. And it just wasn't going away. It was just getting worse. And so, finally by mid morning on Saturday, I took something and it just so barely scratched the surface, and the light was still an issue. And then I think it was right around lunchtime, you know, I was like, I'm still hungry and stuff, but now I'm wondering like, what's this? Like, is this now like the illness, thing coming through? And is this just a part of it, or is this the leading symptom that's going to lead to something else now? Um, and then when I stood up, uh, things started spinning a little bit, and I'm like, whoa, this is not good. So like I had to pretend I was a lot older than I am. And I'd have to like, slowly get up. And I mean, I walked like, I should have been using a walker. I mean, I was just walking so slow and just kind of grabbing onto things and stuff, and just making sure I had balance. And I'm like, this is terrible. And the worst thing about it I was supposed to be going to a family wedding that late afternoon. And so I'm like trying to see if I can get through this, because obviously if I'm dizzy, I'm going to have a difficult time driving for one. Because, if you're looking over your shoulder to, pass and turn, and I'm like, I can't even do, like that much of a movement was like, then things would move, my vision would move. My head started feeling weird. And I'm like, oh man. And it wasn't, right, Jill, vertigo. Yeah. And it was, and so finally I texted my dad, cause he was at the same wedding, and it was like sometime right after 2. And I'm like, I can't get in the car. The migraine was bad enough, but then the dizziness was making it even worse, to where, moving around the house, I mean, let alone, trying to drive, to the wedding, and then have to sit. Yeah, I just, it, man, it sucked, and it wasn't, and I did take something. Like I said, I said it earlier, I did take something, but it didn't do much. And it wasn't till about bedtime where I don't remember the dizziness going to bed anymore. And then I don't remember the intense pain. And then when I woke up Sunday morning, I was like, nothing ever happened. That was the other oddball thing about it. But so I was panicking a little bit last Saturday, which, um, was a major reason why there was no show last week too, because I just couldn't even sit here and do this. So it was crazy. Did you take a placebo? Right. I wish that, there was some common sense to it. Like I said, it just out of nowhere, like I said, it's been years and years. So I felt horrible. And, it's like, you don't ask for a whole lot. You don't, you just keep things simple. There's just like certain times of year, holidays and birthdays and things that you just want to be okay. And it's just like, it was just terrible. And so, yeah, the migraine, the dizziness, and then the light factor was just, it's funny. I debated on wearing sunglasses the whole day. I honestly did. And I was going to take a photo of it, a selfie. I don't usually do selfies, so much and post them. But I almost was going to put on sunglasses, take a selfie, and then, eventually post it, probably, when I felt like I could like stare at a phone or something. I was going to post about it, being like, this is what it was like all day long. I wasn't looking cool. This was just helping me keep my eyes open longer, because it was, oh, but yeah, it was just, I don't know, so it's like, and see, that's the thing is, that's why I've been talking about on show is, there's just these moments that you just have to ride through them, and you're going to get through it. It's never going to be at the ideal time. Like, when I get some time off, I'll be sick, it doesn't work that way, And so I'd ask for the world and get the gutter. Okay. But yeah, and so it is what it is, and it's just, like I said, it's just one of those things that you have to roll with, you have to deal with. And then, you get up the next day and hope for the best. Dramamine helps me cope. That, yeah, Joe. I mean, yeah, there was a whole lot of things, that I thought of, and there was, but, I try not to get scheduling a cold in August. There you go. I'm not August. August is going to start picking up for, stuff back, for home stuff. School's going to start going back to school then, because, my kids, ended a couple days ago. So, school gets back into session. There's the second and third week, I think, of August, the marching, the Friday night marching, the high school games, the marching band. So those will be kicking up again. So yeah, I'm not getting sick in August, but then again, it seems like when everybody goes back to school, that's when that stuff eventually pops up too. So, because I know my son has done that. He's gone to school, and then sometimes a few weeks later, or just a few weeks into school, he's got a cold already. So it's like, how is it even possible, but that's just everybody stuck inside. When you're outside, you can kind of throw the germs everywhere. When you're inside, they're kind of contained a little bit. So, so yeah, I mean, but that just gives you guys a little bit, because I know we're running out of time, and, my first show back, so in pretty much a month, or 2 months, excuse me, 2 months. But, yeah, like I said, feeling great. I know next Saturday, I'm going to still keep it open. I'm not going to say 100% that I'll be back for sure again next week just yet. I do have a lot of things going on that afternoon. So I want to make sure that I'm not, committed to a certain time to where we have to leave it, whatever. So I think everything is in the afternoon and evening, if I'm not mistaken. So, I have to double check, but there's some stuff Saturday. But again, I'm definitely, at least still, even getting through, a whole show today, I still feel pretty good about things, and may try to get this, back up and rolling a little bit more frequently. I may, depending on, there is going to be, I know there's some upcoming things that, Saturdays might be difficult. So I may shift some to Sundays. I know sometimes that works for some of you. Sometimes it doesn't, but I will consider, that, if Saturday, doesn't work out, I may shift it to a Sunday, because just, again, even with me blabbering the whole time, it's still, I still enjoy it. And I, still try to provide, things of what's going on, how I've dealt with something, or, especially like with everything that I have been dealing with, it's just nice to kind of throw that in there. I tune into a show, yeah, right. That would be interesting for him to have his own show. That would be really interesting. Like his own solo show, not like jumping on this one, but just his own solo show. Yeah, I would be kind of curious then. I'd have to watch that first one. Anyway, but as we're winding up, I do want to stop. Well, I'm not really stopping, but I do want to say that, it's I want to throw a big shout out to all the men and women of our armed forces. We know Monday's Memorial Day, and so we definitely want to thank all those that have served and are currently serving. We obviously couldn't do a lot of the things that we do if it wasn't for all of them, and I do appreciate it and thank them from the bottom of my heart. We've had my uncle served, so I know a lot of veterans. My neighbor that's behind me, he's a veteran and stuff, so it's a lot of great people around and things, and so I can't thank them enough for what they've done for us and continue to do. And so I will be helping out again this year. I got permission to be a chaperone for the marching band, so I will be out in the parade Monday, so that'll be kind of fun to help the band out, but at the same time honor our men and women that serve. And so it'll be a good weekend, and obviously I hope everybody takes the moment, put your personal opinions aside and, just appreciate, what they've done for us, regardless of, where you think things should be or have, or what don't worry about all that. This is the, we still got to appreciate, what they've done and what they still do. So hopefully you guys will have that moment and, have that moment of silence. So even if you don't attend any type of ceremony or something like that, but if you can have that quick moment for them, that would be awesome. So, Sharon. Yeah, I'm sure my dad will. I know my mom had surgery at the beginning of this week, so she's been on rest. So she's slowly getting around, but it's still going to be a little bit, but she's taking it easy. So mom's not necessarily running out a whole lot right now just yet, but Dad, I know you want, we're working it out, Dad. We're going to work it out for a football game. Don't worry. We're going to get you and I are going to chaperone a football game. Don't worry. Because we're not going to have you doing a parade, but yeah, we're gonna. And I'm dead serious, Dad. We're gonna get you on a football game, so it'll be fun. So, you would say, yeah. The other big thing, and then I'm just gonna throw it out there now. So again, Memorial Day is on Monday, and then on Wednesday and Thursday, both of my kids have birthdays. So that's pretty cool. I will have interesting numbers to say the least. My daughter, the oldest, is going to be 16, and my son is going to be 13. So both interesting numbers, but so their birthdays are Wednesday and Thursday of next week. So it'll be some good times, big milestones for both of them, actually, if you really look at it, so that's pretty cool. So there's some cool positive things coming up and things I get to look forward to, and seeing the kids get a little bit older, but so that's cool. But yeah, before I, as we start to wrap it up, I do want to say thanks for everyone that, either saw this live, currently watching it live, or playing it back at some other point, partying at Adam's house. Well, see, that's the thing is, with my mom down, grandma, with grandma being down, we're kind of delaying a lot of the birthdays. Doesn't mean there won't be at least a little intimate thing, but, we'll have at least immediate family here, but then we'll be doing some family thing in the future when my mom can start moving around a little bit better, and she doesn't have to worry about climbing up things, because steps and stuff aren't going to be easy right now. So buy a Mustang to drive to school. There you go, Dan. We just get you a limo or something. And then so there's so Birthdays, that'll be fun next week. And then, like I said, I'll keep everybody posted. I'll probably know midweek or so, what I'm going to do for Saturday or Sunday, one of the two, for sure. So, but again, thank you all for hanging in there. Thank you for all being patient. I appreciate it. Don't think that I haven't, um, you know, wished I'd been back sooner. I wish that I would have been able to, share anything. But, like I said, I don't want to obviously, I said earlier, I don't want to dump any negative, energy off onto you when I'm struggling and stuff. I don't think that's fair. You guys don't deserve that. So that's kind of why, like, if I do a post and I try to have some positive imagery or just some positive message in there, so that way it's a good thing. But don't get me wrong, I mean, we all deal with things. So, but I appreciate you guys hanging in there. Thank you so much. Hopefully this will get ramped back up and continue. And then, we'll have some fun. We'll start diving into some topics again. Still not going to be heavy, I'm still not going to do, guest stuff really. It'll take a lot of, it'll take a lot of money to bring somebody on again, but they got to pay me, not the other way around. But no, but I still have some goals of where I'd like to do another show where it is just strictly for guest only. So there's still that opportunity where maybe I will at some point, I've talked about it before, I'll crank up a new show to where it'll be during the week, it'll be in an evening, and then we'll have it'll just be guest related, and that's all it'll be. And then we'll just bring people on, everybody, anybody that wants to share some things about certain topics and stuff, we'll do it. But yeah, so there's still a goal to do that. But Saturday mornings, we're just hanging around the breakfast table. So it's not always guest related for these. So, but yes, Michelle, thank you so much. And yeah, and then your birthday's next week. Yeah, well, we got time. I'll say happy birthday. I will. Jill, enjoy the remainder of your weekend. Nice to see your face and healing vibes. Thank you so much, Jill. Appreciate that. We could discuss what it'll cost you to have me on your show. I know. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Glad to pop back on here again. Glad to share some energy, good energy. And avoid all the garbage that's been going in and around me, all year. So it's nice to kind of feel good about it again. So thank you. So I'm going to be out of here. So again, thank you. Happy Memorial Day. Thank you to all the veterans. And then I will definitely be posting things as soon as I can for you guys. So with that said, you have been watching the Mid-Morning Medium Chat with Out of the Black Swamp Medium. Thank you so much for being here. And as always, all my love, light, and peace to each and every single one of you. And I'll see you again soon.